Okay, I always try to wait till like on beat this thing like stops. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals a little bit, as well as the MLB playoffs. But we're going to be focusing on Week 5 in the NFL and our reactions. Have a good time with us today. That sounded weird, but okay, whatever. So it's obvious that I need to work on my introduction monologues. But other than that, we're back with another Allied Rivals podcast where hopefully I will not lag out. Now, for those of you who are wondering, hey, we didn't have an episode last week. Well, we did, but it got taken down for reasons we are still trying to figure out. But we're glad you're here with us today. We're talking about Week 5 of the NFL. Cade Bauer is my partner. I'm AJ Herschel. But Cade, how you doing, man?
You know what? It's been super awesome since our Allied Shorts a few minutes ago. I went and got a jacket because it's getting cold out here. But other than that, it's been all great. How you doing?
In the last 5 minutes, I think good. Hopefully I improved my internet connection, but other than that, I mean, not much has changed. Also, like Cayman said, we just did an Allied Rivals Shorts about our favorite Super Bowl that we actually watched live. Be sure to go check that out and let us know what your favorite Super Bowl you watched live was, and we can't tell you what ours was. You're going to have to go watch it to figure it out. But Cademan, I think it's time we get into the episode unless you got anything else you want to say.
I think we go and get in the episode.
All right, sounds good. And hopefully I will not lag out because I'm worried that that's going to happen. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with the news. Biggest news, the NBA Finals concluded on Sunday with LeBron and Anthony Davis's Los Angeles Lakers taking down Jimmy Butler's Miami Heat 4-2. Cademan, what were your reactions during the final game?
You know what? The Lakers played awesome offense and awesome defense until the fourth quarter, and at that point they were just kind of not trying.
Yeah, I think it was that second quarter. I think it was that second quarter that really set the tone. Yeah, 36 points I think it was to 16 in the Miami Heat in the second quarter, just absolutely overwhelmed them. And this is what I've been saying the whole time during the playoffs. You need two true stars if you want a great chance at winning. Guess what happened? They got two true stars, LeBron and Anthony Davis, and the supporting cast of older dudes came together. Stinking old man Superman Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and the former Spurs three-point ace Danny Green. The Miami Heat had a lot of close games, and they were able to scrape out some of them, but they just couldn't beat the firepower and the great coaching overall of the LA Lakers. So, Cademan, let's say Dragic played the series, because we obviously know that he's out. He was out. Bam was never truly 100%. If Goran Dragic is in, if Bam Adebayo is in, do you think this series goes to 7? I mean, it was still a close game. Do you think with the added defense, you have all your starters healthy? Do you think that the Lakers don't have as great of a second quarter and the Heat are able to take it to 7?
Yeah, that's interesting because I was actually just thinking about that. And I think Bam and Dragic, they definitely play a huge key role. I think Bam, especially off the board, and a huge defensive player. Dragic, all around, just great. And I think they definitely could have pushed it and probably would have pushed it to a game 7 because Goran Dragic opened up the game for everyone else. Jimmy Butler opens up the game for everyone else. And so when you have those two working together, that's really good. And then Bam off the board, playing defense down low, everything. He is a beast. He is so hard to guard. And so, I mean, those three and many others on the Heat are just so good. But it was just, I think they would have taken it to game 7 because without 100% Bam and without Goran Dragic, you had a great team. And I think with Bam at 100% and Goran, you would have had possibly of the greatest. I think they proved themselves to be worthy of getting to the finals, but I think they could have taken it to 7 or won it had they had everyone on their roster healthy.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with that. And I think one of the things that doomed the Heat in the final game, the Lakers took away their best option, Jimmy Butler, 12 points in the final game, completely much lower than his normal set 23 plus points a game. Bam Adebayo really stepped up. He had himself a double-double, 10 rebounds, 25 points, but it really came down to the number one option, and that was going to be Jimmy Butler. He had to lead the team. The games that the Heat won, he put up 40 points and he put up a triple-double in the other one. Those were the games the Heat won. Without that, it was all over. The Heat weren't at 100%. The Lakers took away the best option. Props to LeBron James winning his fourth and Anthony Davis finally getting himself an NBA Finals. It's about time, but man, that's a rough time for the Miami Heat. AB tuning in says, that's deep. Thanks for tuning in, man. Let us know what you thought about the NBA Finals. Cademan, you got anything else you want to say about
Lakers? I mean, I think it was just interesting, like the whole series. A lot of games were somewhat close, and then the Lakers really proved in Game 6 that they were the better team.
Just very true.
Crazy offense. They were up by like 25 and sometime in the third quarter, just overpowering the injured Heat defense. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Moving on to the MLB, the Rays are currently up, and I actually have to make sure that this is correct. They're now up 2-0 in the ALCS over the Astros. The Dodgers-Braves begins tonight, so guess what game I'm going to go watch after we're done here. But the Rays beat the Astros. Oh, absolutely. The Rays won game 1, 2-1, thanks to 2 solo homers and just great bullpen from the Rays in general and great defense. Blake Snell only had 2 strikeouts the entire game. And then today, a 4-2 win. Cademan, the Astros are the underdog story of the AL. We all know that. They've had to go through the controversy of losing players, the adversity of everything that happened over the offseason, the scandal that went on, losing their manager, and yet they're here, and now they're down 2-0. Do you think this is because of the Rays' firepower on defense, or is this just because the Astros don't have enough power to compete?
Yeah. You know what? I think the Astros, I mean, they're definitely the underdog, but I think they've just gotten so much better over the postseason. I think if they would have had like the normal playoffs without like the 8 teams, I think it would have been they would have definitely had more time to like more games to maybe even get going more. I think that their pitching has definitely improved a lot. That's like one of the things they needed a lot of work on. I think it's definitely improved. But I mean, there are some teams like the Rays, for instance, that they can just go on a hot streak for like, they can go through their lineup like 1.5, 2, if they're really, really feeling it times. They can just keep going through their lineup, hit after hit, excuse me, the Rays really know how to take advantage of a bad or unexperienced pitcher, and they can just spank a team in one inning. So I think that's the big thing the Astros have to overcome. They're already down 2-0, so I don't see them coming back, but anything is possible.
Yeah, the Astros are really in a hole right now, down 2-0, and this is a team that's known for being efficient and on hitting and then on pitching, losing Justin Verlander, as we talked about. That's really, really going to hurt. And to the credit of Lance McCullers Jr. today, he mowed down 11 Rays batters today in 7 solid innings, but it was just those 3 innings, that first inning, the 3 runs, the 3-run home run that really, really messed him up. Look, Tampa's a great team when it comes to the bullpen, and I think that's going to be their biggest strength. They're not necessarily known for being power hitters. They're not necessarily known for having flashy plays on defense, but their pitching staff is so good. It is going to be very, very difficult to beat the Rays. If Houston takes a game or two, maybe when Zach Greinke comes in, they might be able to take a game or two. I think it might be all but over, though. The Rays have literally all the momentum, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, this team doesn't deserve to be here. This team doesn't deserve to be here. The Rays are probably the best. The Rays or the Dodgers Rays or the Yankees were the two best teams that would probably had a chance to beat either the Dodgers or the Braves. And the Rays are showing they are the AL powerhouse. Now, in terms of the NLCS, Dodgers Braves starting tonight, Caveman, what are you expecting from the game?
You know what? I mean, with a crazy stacked Dodgers roster everywhere, starting, bullpen, hitting. It's just, I don't know. I mean, the Braves, obviously, really, 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 really good. But I don't know if they're going to be good enough. I mean, you know what? They were the 2 seed. They're great. They have almost everything. But you know what? I don't see it happening because you have just some guys like Justin Turner or Mookie Betts or Cody Bellinger, you name it, really, on that team. Almost anyone is just built like they win. Like I kind of thought the Cubs would do better because they kind of looked like the team. I mean, not as good, but like in 2016, they kind of looked very, very similar. Like especially at the beginning of the season, to how they did 2020. And I was kind of thinking, you know what? This is a team that's really built to win. And I still think the same thing of the Dodgers. The Dodgers have proved they are built to win. I think they are going to win against the Braves. So, you know what? You have Acuna Jr., you have Freeman, who will probably be MVP. And then after that, I mean, you have Ozuna, you have Arnaud, you have a lot of guys that can do really well. But I think they're just slightly not as good as the Dodgers in just about everything. That's my takeaway.
I think it's going to be super close. Tonight we've got Max Fried and Walker Buehler on the mound. So you've got two of the league's top pitchers going off against two of the league's top hitting rosters. And everyone wants to talk about Slam Diego. Everyone is super into Manny Machado. Everyone's super into Fernando Tatis Jr. Guys, yes, the Dodgers scored the most runs in the league. The Braves had the second most by one less run. If anyone is going to out-hit the Los Angeles Dodgers, it will be the Atlanta Braves, who can put up 20 runs on you. It's going to be tough, though. It's going to be very tough. You're going to have to go through Kershaw, you have to go through Walker Buehler, and you're going to have Ian Anderson and Max Fried especially win their games. They're really going to have to step up. But you've got a lineup filled with hitters. Like you said, Ronald Acuna Jr., Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna. They lost Josh Donaldson this year, but then got Nick Markakis back. If any team is built to out-hit the Dodgers, it's going to be the Braves. I don't even know what I'm expecting from this series. I don't know what I'm expecting. You've got great pitchers on both sides and great hitters on both sides. The Dodgers have played the entire year well, but Atlanta's really found their stride in the last 20 games of the season, especially with Anderson coming on as a true number 2. I think this is going to be a very, very competitive series. I can't wait to see where this goes, but it's going to be a tight race, in my opinion.
Yeah, and going off of that, I would say, you know what, I still think that the Dodgers are just slightly better in just about everything. And you know what? I think this game, you can see that these lineups are both so consistent, such great hitting lineups. And I think most of this is going to depend on the pitchers. I think so. And I think the Dodgers definitely have a better starting pitcher staff. In the bullpen, I'd say they're probably about equal. You know what? I mean, they're both great. I'd say they're probably about equal in that. But Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, the list goes on and on for the starting roster because you can, you know what, they have relief pitchers that can come in and play starter if you want them to, because that's what they've done before, and you can make them do that if something happened. I see the Dodgers winning this because of pitching.
I think it's definitely going to be close, especially if Kenley Jansen is still struggling. He's had a rough year this year, and if Atlanta is able to get hits off of him late in games, that could be a key to them being able to clutch it out. I think that, honestly, this series could go to 7. I think right now, this is my most highly anticipated series. of the entire playoffs, and we all knew that Padres versus Dodgers was going to be great. But this one, I'm expecting to be competitive. I'm expecting it to be high scoring with great pitching and great hitting on both sides. Honestly, I'm just excited to see what happens. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Are the Dodgers probably built for a better playoff run? Yeah. But are the Braves the best team to play spoiler? Also, yes. It'll be interesting. So let's move on. Not really much news other than this. Caden, if you don't mind, can I just take 2 minutes to talk about college football real quick?
For sure.
So really fast. Really fast. For those of you guys, hopefully we'll do more college football as the MLB and NBA is done. Georgia rolled over Tennessee this week, 44-21. I'm super excited about it. Thanks to great defense. Georgia still has the number 1 defense in the nation. Stetson Bennett and just really kind of took advantage of that second half and Tennessee's mistakes, mostly on penalties. They are number 3 currently. Number 4, formerly number 4, Florida falls to Texas A&M. Florida ain't got no defense. I'm very excited about they drop out of the top 10, I believe. Alabama, number 2, had to score 63 points to beat Ole Miss this week, but they made it out. Mac Jones and Najee Harris off maybe the best 1-2 duo in the league with the exception of Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. It is a crazy team that Alabama's got on offense, but their defense is going to have to lock up against other teams. Meanwhile, Oklahoma and Texas have probably the best Red River rivalry we've ever seen. 4 overtime. Sam Ehlinger and Spencer Rattler back and forth. Missed field goal, blocked field goal. At the end of the day, Oklahoma was able to pull it out, but man, it is super exciting. Unfortunately for the Big 12, now Oklahoma State is really their last chance to get a team into the college football playoff now that Texas and Oklahoma are both 2-loss teams. There's never, I don't believe, ever been a 2-loss team in the CFB. And yeah, Clemson is still Clemson. They rolled over Miami, Florida, so they're still number 1. Anyway, Big 10 comes back in a couple weeks, which should be really exciting, but your current top 4 are Clemson.
Sadly, AJ is coming back. I mean, happily. I was going to say sadly, AJ is gone, but then AJ came back. So AJ, I just said sadly, AJ is coming back.
Wow. Thanks, man.
I'm sorry. I meant sadly, AJ is gone, and then AJ is coming back.
I got you. Sorry, I the internet problems I was telling y'all about. But
you're good.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So yeah, Big 10 starts up in a couple weeks. Your top 4 are still Clemson, Alabama, and Georgia, and then now Notre Dame is going to be that number 4. It'll be interesting to see who really wraps up after that. Cademan, got anything to say about all that?
I can't wait for Wisconsin to start.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Wisconsin is going to be playing in a tough Big 10 division this year. Northwestern's defense has always been great. This is probably the best Illinois team we've ever seen in a decade. Minnesota is good now, which is still hard to wrap my mind around. They're Wisconsin, always been known for running the football. Jonathan Taylor, Melvin Gordon, especially over the last decade. They're really going to have to use that to their advantage, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Are we ready for the NFL Week 5 recap?
I think we are. The NFL Week 5 recap. Biggest news to come out. The Falcons lost, and Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff have been relieved of their duties as head coach and general manager, respectively. Cademan, does this surprise you at all?
No.
Oof.
You know what? Dan Quinn should be coaching that defense better. And you know what? All you have is an offensive team. Yeah. And Julio Jones injured, that's not going to help. And then Calvin Ridley injured for a little while. You know what? If you don't have a defensive team and then your offensive team gets injured really badly, you don't have a team. And so I think they saw it coming.
Yeah, honestly, all of us were kind of looking at the inevitable, and which makes me wonder, the Panthers are somehow 3-2 now, which makes no sense to me at all. Like I totally don't get how that happened, but it did. Man, Dan Quinn, the Falcons are a mess. You're 0-5. You've got Matt Ryan. You've got Todd Gurley, who's running the football well, even on a snap count. You shouldn't be putting up 16 points. You shouldn't be putting up 16 points on Carolina. We all saw the inevitable coming. First it was Bill, then it was Quinn. Adam Gase is now the number 1 quarterback on the head coach on the hot seat. Now, Caedmon, I didn't tell you about this before, and don't worry, Lightning Bauer, we will get to talk about Dak and the Dallas Cowboys. Don't worry about that. There is one thing I wanted to do. I actually didn't tell you about this, Caedmon, but we obviously highlight quite a few of the games. But really fast, if you can give it like 2 or 3 sentences, just your thoughts on a couple of the games we're not going to cover. Just NFL quick bits, just your quick thoughts.
Sure.
Make sense? So we're just going to go game by game really fast. We'll go one at a time, just 2 or 3 sentences. Ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Thoughts, Chicago versus Tampa Bay.
Okay, so you know what? Chicago was playing really great defense like they normally do. Their defense came in really clutch. Chris Godwin being injured definitely helped the Bears, and the Chicago defense was really great. And Mike Evans is really good, and the Chicago defense is really great. And the Chicago defense is really gret.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And if you want to hear more about Chicago, Caedmon's going to talk about that after this episode. But yeah, Chicago's defense, crazy good as usual. They're still struggling against the run a little bit, but against the pass, Kyle Fuller and Jalen Johnson statistically right now are the best cornerback duo in the NFL. They're absolutely crazy. They shut down Mike Evans, even though the tight ends had a chance. Look, Brady for getting the downs hurts, but look, somehow Nick Foles, Caedmon, this is the best thing. Nick Foles is now 2-0 against Tom Brady.
No offense. I like Nick Foles. He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. All right, next one. Jets versus Cardinals. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. You know what? For that, I think we all saw the Cardinals winning that. No offense, Jets. They're now 0-5. Kyler Murray's playing out of his mind. Joe Flacco's just meh. The Jets could not get the running game going. DeAndre Hopkins was amazing. Christian Kirk was amazing. Now, the one thing I did like was I do like the looks of Jamison Crowder right now. He's really leading the Jets offense. But man, you got to get that running game going. You got to spread that ball around more, Jets.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. And I do think Jamison Crowder, I think he's doing good, but I also think he's doing good because there's no one else to throw to in that Jets offense. Herndon is fine, but they have no number 2 wide receivers like at all. Frank Gore and Le'Veon Bell are doing their best, but that offensive line is still a mess no matter how much Mekhi Becton is going to try. Look, Joe Flacco was fine. He's Joe Flacco, but the Jets are bad. Cardinals, DeAndre Hopkins is probably the best. Like I said, I think he's the best wide receiver in the league, but I could go in depth on that for a while. But maybe the best pickup, maybe the best trade in the league in years, getting him for trading basically him for David Johnson. Huge addition to the team. Kenyon and Chase Edmonds, while it's annoying for my fantasy team, is working out as a 1-2 punch. And yeah, DeAndre Hopkins is absolutely clicking with Kyler Murray. Philadelphia versus Pittsburgh, Caedmon.
Ooh, okay. So, you know what? I kind of thought, wow, Carson Wentz is looking pretty good. This could be a good game for Philly. And then, you know what? The Steelers take over. They really took over. You know what? I saw Miles Sanders doing a lot of damage to the Steel defense. I mean, you had Fulgham having the game of his life, receiving 152 yards. Chase Claypool, though.
Yeah.
Wow. I claimed him on every fantasy team I have, and I think I'm receiving him in at least 2. So I'm very happy about that.
Waiver priority.
Yeah, I'm at the bottom of my league in the ones I think in the ones I think I got him. Which is really sad. But I'm in the top of the other ones. So yeah, Chase Claypool has become a dominating and key factor in the Steel. That's not really a Steel offense. In the Steelers offense, along with Juju and Eric Ebron, who, you know what? I think Eric Ebron is kind of inconsistent, but all the tight ends except for like Travis Kelce and George Kittle are somewhat inconsistent right now. So I think he's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, Pittsburgh, look, you're great and all, but you let Philadelphia hang in there, and we're up by 2 at one point. The score was 31-29. You guys are a much better team than Philadelphia. I would disagree with you on Miles Sanders balling out on the Steelers. Okay. He had one run of 74 yards. He finished the game with 80 yards. He had 6 yards on 10 other carries. Yeah, he got one great run. One great run is a good play, but that's not balling out. And yes, Carson Wentz would dink and dunk it to him, but that's just the Miles Sanders we've come to know. The Steelers, I don't know what happened to them, but they let Philadelphia hang in there for way too long, despite Chase Claypool having the game of his life, like you said. But Pittsburgh, look. If you want to hang with Baltimore, if you want to compete with Baltimore, you cannot let the Eagles. You can't be leading the Eagles by 2 in the fourth quarter. That's all I'm going to say. You cannot do that. You can't make it that close to a team you should be beating by 20. You can't do that. Pittsburgh, I like you. I want to believe in you. I love you guys, but you've got to get it together and finish on defense.
AJ, I'm going to disagree right back. I think Miles Sanders had a phenomenal game. Yeah, you know what? He had a nice rushing long 74 yards. That's awesome. And then 6 other yards besides that. But he also had 2 receptions for 19 yards receiving. But you know what? About 100 yards combined isn't amazing, but it's still good. And I think once Miles Sanders had that 74-yard long rush, that opened up the game for Travis. My man got 152 yards. He was just so good. I think that's pretty much it. I think he did open up the game for everyone else, and stats don't show that. You have to watch the game to know that. But I think he was definitely huge in that game.
Okay, I disagree with that, but whatever, we got to move on. Cincinnati versus Baltimore. What did you think about that, Cademan?
Feel really bad for those Bengals right now. You know what? The Ravens defense played defense almost the whole game. I mean, like a lot of the what am I trying to say? I'm saying the Ravens offense played almost all the game. And the Ravens defense did. There were so many times when the Bengals had the ball and they just went 4 and out, 3 and out, either one. You know what? Tyler Boyd wasn't doing what he usually does. Joe Burrow, I don't think he's as good as everyone says he is. Now, to be fair, Joe Mixon did have some pretty consistent rushing. He got 59 yards on the night. But you know what? I think you really got to open up Tyler Boyd and also Joe Mixon. If it's looking really good, you got to open up T. Higgins as well, because he has become a key factor in the Bengals offense. And you know what? The Bengals could not do anything against the Ravens defense. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh, hold on. I can't hear you. Wait. Is that me?
Yeah, that's me. Sorry. Cool. Yeah, I would disagree with you a little bit on Joe Burrow not being as good as everyone says he is. Dude, I watched this guy have the greatest season of any college football quarterback in history. Insane guy. Great talent. But here's the thing. It's not his fault. And I'll talk about the Ravens first, because Caden's off camera for a minute. I'll talk about the Ravens first. Ravens are great, guys. Every team has to have a wake-up game. Chiefs-Ravens was the Ravens' wake-up game. They had to get it together. Lamar Jackson's throwing the ball so much more than at least I expected him to. 37 passes? This is the guy who would throw it 20 times a game and run it 15 other times. The Ravens team is trying to become balanced. I think they're trying to keep Lamar in the pocket more often. He's also spreading around the ball pretty well, hitting Brown, hitting Andrews. The Ravens are an interesting team that are built on defense, but I think Lamar, who was really, really known for his accuracy, needs to step it up ever so slightly in the pass game, maybe just a little bit, but he's still great. Now, Joe Mixon, I think, could just not do anything. The dude averaged 2.5 yards a carry against that Baltimore defense. I'm sorry, Mixon. Baltimore's got a great front seven. And to Joe Burrow, this is the thing with Joe Burrow. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, Joe Burrow, that you're stuck in Cincinnati. And look, you've got Higgins, you've got Boyd, you've got banged up AJ Green. But your offensive line is the worst in the league. And it's not even close. I'm very, very sorry. And this is what I'll talk about with Caveman when he gets back about why I don't think Joe Burrow is nearly as bad as it says he is. Bengals defense is still mediocre as usual, but I think it's just the Ravens overpower the Bengals because they're a better team. This is an instance where the better team will absolutely win every single day of the week, and the Bengals are just really a mess. And Cademan's still moving, so while he's getting set, I just want to let you guys know we're doing Allied Shorts a little bit more frequently. Be sure to go check those out. Yeah, you back, Caden? You good? I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if that's me or if that's you. Oh, you're muted.
I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. My camera was getting dark. It was getting dark outside, so I decided to move spots.
No worries. So this is what I was going to say about Joe Burrow and how I disagree with you. The guy's insane. He's got great patience. He's a great pocket passer. And you remember those years when Andrew Luck would get sacked like 40, 50 times? And like,
I remember that.
Joe Burrow's on track to get sacked 70 times this year. He's been sacked the most. He's been pressured the most. He's been knocked down the most. And we all know Joe Mixon's got great talent. But guess what? He's doing diddly squat. And it ain't his fault. It ain't Burrow's fault. It's the fact that the Bengals offensive line is the worst in the NFL, and it's not even close. This is just David Carr, first-year Houston Texans all over again. Sacked 79 times. This is Deshaun Watson running for his life all over again. And you can say, oh, he's got to get the ball out quicker. Quarterbacks have less time to throw it than ever. Sure. But guys, if you want to have a rookie grow successfully under center, you got to do what the Chiefs did, the Ravens did. You have to give them a good front line to be able to protect them, the offensive line. Burrow doesn't get any of that. Most times sacked, most times knocked down, most times pressured. The Bengals have a terrible offensive line, and it is detrimental to not only Burrow's passing game, but also Joe Mixon's rushing game, and why he's been basically ineffective in every game except one this entire year. So I think that is pretty much everything. I'm going to go ahead and move on while Cayman's getting set up just because for the sake of time. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Rams versus Washington. The Rams are good, and they've kind of been like under the radar good. They're 4-1. I don't know how this happened. And I mean, they're having an interesting trio with Akers and Henderson and Malcolm Brown, which is annoying for fantasy, I'll tell you that much. But it's great for them. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are starting to kind of settle into midseason form. The Rams we normally see take about 4 weeks to get going, but now they actually kind of just woke up and they're doing well. Now with Washington, Alex Smith is back somehow. I cannot give enough respect to this guy. Was it the greatest game a quarterback's ever had? Absolutely not. But for a dude who had to have 17 surgeries on his leg, this guy is a trooper. I have so much respect for Alex Smith. I liked him because I thought he was a good mentor for Mahomes, but now he's just, oh my goodness, 17 surgeries, broke his leg, came back. He could have thrown 3 picks and I would have said that's a crazy good performance because no one comes back from an injury like that. As bad as the Redskins are, the football team is. I keep messing that up. As bad as the football team is, Antonio Gibson's nice. The front seven is good. Terry McLaurin's good. We all know that. Alex Smith, massive respect, bro. Massive respect. Cayman, what did you think about the Rams football team game? The football team versus Rams game. You know what I mean?
You know what? I agree. I think Alex Smith is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. You know what? Jared Goff, though, he is just he was too much for the football team's defense. Cam Akers that was one of his better games. Gerald Everett, I like the looks of him. Man. You know what? Robert Woods, he was playing. Cooper Kupp. You know what? This is just a really, really good receiving core. None of them are ridiculously good. None of them are a Julio Jones, but this is definitely a very good receiving core. And you know what? I think Cam Akers can only get better from here. I think Cam Akers is just getting better. And I think the same thing about the Rams defense. You know what? Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Troy Hill, there are, especially that defensive line and the linebackers, I think they definitely are just – they put so much pressure on any quarterback. So, yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you have to see the Rams winning. But that's all right.
2 more before we get to our big 4. First of all, Indianapolis versus Cleveland. Cademan, what happened to Indy?
Oh, you know what? I'll be honest. In my picks for the teams that I thought was gonna win, I picked the Colts because I felt like I didn't know if the Browns' offense was strong enough for an incredible Colts defense, especially secondary. Just so good. But you know what? I was so wrong. Baker Mayfield and Phillip Rivers had pretty similar games. The difference was Baker Mayfield could get it in the end zone. Phillip Rivers was not. He had to give it to Jonathan Taylor for 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown of the game. That's not good. For one. That's not good. And when you have your quarterback throwing no touchdowns and your best running back only getting 1, so what if you have a great defense? Your offense stinks. And so, you know what? Odell Beckham Jr. is amazing. I really, really think he has a ton of skill. I think he plays an important role in this offense. I think he leads the team. You know what? You have Jarvis Landry, who's usually putting up better stats, but I think Odell is an emotional leader. I think he's a team leader. I think he's honestly, Austin Hooper's a tight end, but I think he is making Austin Hooper better because I've seen him throwing a ball with Austin Hooper, and I think that Austin Hooper would not be as good now. I mean, would not be as good if he hadn't had OBJ with him, like helping him. So I think big credit to him, big credit to the offense, overcoming that really great Colts defense, and I think Colts, you just gotta get that ball in the end zone.
Yeah, I think for me there were 2 big takeaways. One, somehow this blew over my head. The Browns have scored 30+ points in 4 straight games, which is crazy. That's crazy to think about. This is the Browns. These guys are the back end of every single joke, but they put up 34 on Washington's good defense and 32 on the Colts' best defense in the league, and they just did that without Nick Chubb. They just put a 32 on the Colts without Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is really kind of coming into a great backup running back role, one of the best, as with the Colts. And I know looking at the stats, Mayfield and Rivers look the same. Watching the game, Rivers is a mess. He's forcing throws. He's trying to make throws that he can't make anymore. He's taking too many deep shots. Rivers is old, guys. He's not as consistent as he was. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Maybe.
Probably.
I mean, probably. He's had a good long career with especially consistent statistics, but these last 2 years, people were hoping in the Colts offense with a better offensive line, with a nice receiving core, Frank Reich calling the offense, maybe he'd be better. He's starting to regress into last year's Phillip Rivers again. He's making unnecessary throws, 2 interceptions. Just watching it, there's an obvious difference between Rivers now and Rivers 3 years ago. Also with the Colts, run the ball more, guys. Jonathan Taylor's doing great. He was averaging 5 yards a carry last game, and you only gave him 12 carries. I don't know. Maybe he's having knee problems or something, but give it to the man. He is basically your entire offense right now.
Yeah, I think really something interesting about, and I'm noticing this about a lot of teams, they are not giving the ball to the running backs enough.
Yes, thank you.
It's very annoying. Like Jonathan Taylor, we're going to talk about another running back later that is not getting enough carries, and it's very annoying because they're like, man, if Adrian Peterson had been held back like this, he would have gone nowhere.
Yep, true.
Because you know what? For some running backs, it takes them 5, 7, maybe 10 if it's a slower start. Sometimes 10 rushes to really get it going, to really feel it, to really read the defensive line, see where they're going. You know what? They have to give Jonathan Taylor more carries.
Yep.
I think they have to.
Yep. And one more game before we get to our big 4, Vikings at Seahawks. The Monday night game was exciting to say the least. Cademan, what'd you think about Mr. Clutch? What happens when you let Russ cook?
Russ. Oh, man. Russell Wilson is just, wow. He threw 3 touchdowns. You know what? Okay, he had a slow start. Slow first half, that is. The Vikings were putting up some crazy defense in the first half. You know what? Kirk Cousins was having a pretty good first half. Alexander Mattison, you know, after Dalvin Cook went out, and, you know, he's probably coming back, but he still went out for a while. He didn't play. Madison just stepped up and proved he is just a great backup back. And you know what? The receiving team, Adam Thielen, Irv Smith, you know what? They have running backs that basically play like wide receivers. But, you know, I really like the looks of Justin Jefferson. And I think you said this last week, which I guess that episode isn't up, sadly. But he is developing. He's developing into – he is no more a college player. He is definitely playing NFL skill right now. He is so good. About the Seahawks, DK Metcalf is a beast, and I don't know where the Seahawks would be without him. Because you know what? Chris Carson is great, but Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are throwing the ball way more than they're giving Chris Carson the ball. And DK Metcalf is he's just too much for any corner, any safety. I don't care. He's going to get open like 90% of the time. Tyler Lockett is still great behind him. You got to love the veteran Greg Olsen. Will Disley, I guess he's getting he's inconsistent. You know?
He's getting one target a game right now.
He's okay. You know what? The stats don't show that he's good, because the stats show receiving yards, rushing yards, but they don't show like blocks for a tight end or a wide receiver. And Will Disley can do a lot of it. He kind of reminds me of George Kittle, not as good. He can block a linebacker. I've seen him block linebackers. You know what? Not like George Kittle, but I've seen him bulldozer a corner, or you know what, you name it. He's not always the one that Russell decides to throw to, because I think he doesn't have enough faith in Disley yet. I think it's going to have to grow over the year, because you have DK Metcalf, who is absolutely, you know what, he could be considered the best wide receiver this year at the end of the year if he keeps playing like this. And then you have Tyler Lockett, who is just always there for Russell, always has been. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if
interesting that especially the Seahawks offense just could not get it going during the first half, but they definitely proved they can get it. They can overpower the Vikings. And another thing, Kirk Cousins has always said to be terrible in September and then heat up in October, and I think it's true. Yeah. I think this game showed that he can really heat up in October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if DK is going to be the best wide receiver in the NFL, but he's definitely the best deep ball catcher in the NFL right now. His 2 clutch catches on the final drive. Oh, my goodness. Now, here's the thing about Minnesota. They're a weird team. They're not as much as an enigma as Jacksonville, but they're a weird team. Don't get me wrong. They game managed so well. 38 minutes. This is how you beat Russell Wilson. Don't give him the ball. Don't give him the ball. You know how everyone says, hey, don't give the ball to Tom Brady with 2 minutes left on the clock? There's a reason why he has the second most comebacks in NFL history, only under Peyton Manning. There's a reason why. That's what everybody says. Don't give Russell Wilson the ball. That's how you beat him. That's how Minnesota was winning the game. How did they lose the game? Great defense from Seattle. Punt, fumble, touchdown. Punt, fumble, interception. Guess what those led to for the Seattle offense? Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. That's how they went from being down 13-0 to up 21-13. And look, everyone's going to go to Mike Zimmer and be like, why'd you go for it on 4th down? I would have kicked the field goal. I get it. But Mike Zimmer's an aggressive coach. We all know Vikings have known that ever since they've hired him. We get that. Look, Minnesota played a great game. They game managed incredibly, incredibly well. They killed the clock with Dalvin Cook when he was in, and then Alexander Mattison after that. But at the end of the day, Russell Wilson is one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the NFL, and he marched them down the field. How would things have ended differently if they had kicked the field goal? I don't know. It was a weird decision that I wouldn't have made, but Minnesota played a good game. And in my opinion, Minnesota right now is a 1-4 team that should not be 1-4. And I think that's just kind of the story of Minnesota, you know, in general. But yeah. Seattle, great game. But that's how you beat Seattle. Don't give Russ the ball.
Yeah, I think it's the 2 decisions Mike Zimmer should not have made. Going for it on 4th down.
Yep.
And earlier going for the 2-point conversion.
Well, they had to go. They had to go for that because if Seattle had scored a field goal, if they had kicked the extra point, then it wouldn't have mattered because they would have gone up by 2. Either way, if Seattle had kicked a field goal, it would have been game. So if they had gone for 2 and got it, it would have led to a tie. If they had just kicked the extra point and Seattle made a field goal, it would have been no different than if they missed the 2-point.
Okay, that's I don't know. I think Mike Zimmer. I definitely would have kicked the field goal. At that point in the game, rather go to overtime or win than be trying to get a big lead and lose.
Yeah, Zimmer kind of reminds me of Sean Payton. They're both very aggressive coaches, and I respect that. Not my personal taste in coaching necessarily, but I respect them for that. Yeah. Anyway, we are at 45 minutes, so we're going to try to go through these 4 that we wanted to highlight relatively quickly. Cademan, is there one that you wanted to highlight first?
You know what? I think we should go to the Raiders-Chiefs.
Yes, Derek Carr.
Chiefs and Raiders.
Woo! And the Raiders upset the defending Super Bowl champs 40-24. What happened here, Cade?
You know what? Based off stats, I'm going to say it again. Derek Carr and Patrick Mahomes look pretty similar, but watching the game, they did not. You know what? Okay, Derek Carr threw 3 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes threw 2. But another thing, Patrick Mahomes got sacked 3 times compared to Derek Carr's once. Yeah. Those sacks were huge, usually led to punts. And you know what? Josh Jacobs really had it going. Devontae Booker was having a pretty good game. Clyde Hilaire could not get it going. Yeah, I like to skip that Edwards part. I don't know why, but I just do. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, excuse me. He could not get it going. I mean, okay, you know what? Maybe they should have given him the ball more because he was averaging 4 yards a carry. But I think they were at a point where they just had to try something new. They had to try to go for the big yards with like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. And you know what? Travis Kelce caught 108 yards and 8 receptions. That's awesome. Tyreek Hill, 3 receptions, 78 yards. And then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I got that one right. And Mecole Hardman. Mecole. Mecole. Saying his name wrong this whole time. Mecole Hardman. They both had some decent receiving games, but oh man, you know what? Aguilar was really good. Darren Waller, I really like the guy. But I think it's, you know what? It's very, very interesting because I think part of the reason that the Chiefs lost was that, you know what? They could get the ball down the field like sometimes, but sometimes they'd have to kick it or punt it. Tommy Townsend had to punt it 5 times because, you know what? The Raiders' defense was inconsistent that game, in my opinion, because sometimes the Chiefs would just go and they would go all the way. And then sometimes the Raiders would just stop them right away. 3 and out, 4 and out, whatever. Henry Ruggs, I think you have to like Henry Ruggs right now at this point. I think you really, really have to like Henry Ruggs. I think he if they let him play more, I think he could be so good. I think he could open up the Raiders receiving game so much more. But yeah, AJ, what do you think?
I think if I'm the Chiefs, I'm really wishing that interception didn't happen late in the game. That was just a bad read by Mahomes intended for Kelce. Just couldn't get it to him. They relied so much on Mahomes. I don't like that they went away from the run with Helaire. I mean, was it the best success he's had all season? No, because the Raiders front 7 is maybe quietly better than a lot of people think. But at the same time, you can't throw it the whole game. This is what Dak does, and we see how that works out for the Cowboys most of the time, even though he throws 50, 60 times. Kelce, 108 yards. Great thing. Vegas couldn't stop the tight end. That is the one thing the Patriots do well, but the Raiders just couldn't stop them. Meanwhile, the Raiders, also an enigma, they lose games they're supposed to win and win games they're supposed to lose. They've now beaten the Saints and the Chiefs. I don't get it. Josh Jacobs is like oddly good, because he like gets results, he gets into the end zone, but he only averages like 3.5 yards a carry, and I'm not sure what's up with that. Devontae Booker came out of nowhere. Maybe he fits better in Gruden's office than he ever did in Denver. I think with Vegas receiving, it's such a weird group because Darren Waller is definitely the anchor. We all know that. Henry Ruggs is what he thought he is. He's a deep ball receiver. We know that. They knew that when they drafted him because we knew Judy, CeeDee, and Jefferson were all more complete receivers with a better skill set, but Ruggs is the fastest. He is the deep threat, and I think that's what the Chiefs couldn't cover. Ruggs burned them twice. Nelson Aguilar, 67 yards and only 2 catches, and I think that's what got the Raiders the win. They took shots deep, and look, people were hating on John Gruden when he got rid of Khalil Mack. People were hating on John Gruden when he got rid of Amari Cooper, and now look where they are. Don't underestimate John Gruden. The Chiefs, I think this is their wake-up game. Every team has to have one. It always happens. This is their wake-up game when they realize we got to get some stuff together. We're no longer undefeated. I think that's what the Chiefs need to do.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, one more thing with Henry Ruggs, he is just so fast.
Yeah.
He does not have to, you know what, I think DK Metcalf is the best deep ball receiver in the league. Henry Ruggs is one of the best. He's so good. He does not have to catch a ball that's 40 yards deep. He can catch a ball that's 10 yards deep, and then with his crazy speed, his crazy jukes, he can run it 30 yards more without even being touched. He can break tackles. This is one of the most physical guys, in my opinion, in the NFL, because you know what, he's not the biggest guy in the NFL. You know what, compared to a lot of the defenders, he is not a big guy, and he can just plow them over because he is not afraid to be physical. And I think Henry Ruggs, you know what, he had 2 receptions. I think if you give him 4, wow, what could Henry Ruggs do? He'd be so good.
It's interesting you use the word physical of Henry Ruggs. I don't think anyone's ever called him physical. He's never been known He's never been known for his physicality. He's not a guy who runs people over. He's a guy who runs past you. He'll get a 3-yard gain on you and then take it to the house. He's never really been the type of guy that trucks people. Like, even if you look at his 2 deep ball catches, he beat out Tyrann Mathieu by 3 yards, caught a pass 20 yards downfield, and darted with it. I don't know how I feel about the physical comparison, but in speed, that is definitely unparalleled. One of the fastest dudes in the league.
Well, but you know what? Maybe physical, very physical wasn't the right word. I think he can stiff arm a guy. He can stiff arm a guy and then just take it to the house. He can put on a juke and break a tackle and put it to the house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe he doesn't plow people over, but I think he is definitely more physical than is what you're saying he is. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I think.
All right. I don't know. Maybe you saw some stuff at Alabama. I didn't. I don't know. Let's go on to this one. The 49ers got struck by Fitzmagic and got blown out 43-17. Cademan, what's going on with San Francisco? Is it the team? Is it the coaching? Is it the quarterback? Is it the injuries? What's going on?
And I'm going to type it in the chat too, just so everyone can see.
Oh my!
I'm not even going to say it. Oh wait, I didn't finish the sentence.
It is not the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl hangover. The Super Bowl curse.
There's a difference between a hangover and a curse, but
but it's both. You know what? If you play defense like that against Fitzpatrick, well, okay, I don't think you're going anywhere this season. When you let him throw 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, and you do not make any force of even close to an interception, okay, you know what? That's not cool. Myles Gaskin is rushing. Matt Breida is rushing. But you know what? Preston Williams showed he can do a lot. Mike Gesicki. That's what I said.
Yeah, you good.
Isn't that what I said?
You said Gesicki. It's Gesicki. You good, though. Keep going.
He is amazing, in my opinion. Devontae Parker, I think he kind of stepped back that game. And because you know what, Preston Williams proved he can do it all. He had a nice long reception of 47 yards, and then after that, he was just kind of consistently getting a few catches here and there. You know what? I feel bad because you know what? The stats weren't terribly different in the game. I mean, yes, in some aspects they were, but for another example, the punts, 49ers punted it 3 times, Dolphins punted it twice. I think one of the big things was that the Dolphins were playing defense that we did not know they had. I did not know the Dolphins could play defense like that, only letting up 17 points, not letting up a lot of sacks on Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think it was just it's too bad. It's too bad the 49ers lost that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think it's last week I think it was the Madden curse because they just had tons of injuries. This week, this is when the hangover comes in, and here's why. Jimmy Garoppolo was bad. 7 for 17 with 2 interceptions. This is when the hangover starts to come in. Look, and here's the thing. We talk about running backs who didn't get the ball enough. Guys, Raheem Mostert averaged 8 yards a carry. What are you doing? This Dolphins defense can be run on. Don't throw the ball if you don't have to. That's my thing. And that's something I think a lot of teams are messing up with right now. Myles Gaskin has gotten basically the same stat line for the last 4 games. 16 carries, 60 yards, couple catches maybe, or a touchdown. He is eerily consistent. That is his role. Ryan Fitzmagic is basically playing for his job over Tua right now, which is crazy because he's balling out. I think the 49ers are still hurting because half their defense is gone. Dee Ford isn't back. Richard Sherman isn't back. Nick Bosa, one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and Solomon Thomas, also one of the best defensive linemen in the league, are out for the year. Like, do that to any team. Their defense is going to be nowhere near as good. I think the 49ers are suffering from injuries, and on offense, I think Garoppolo is just having a rough time getting back into the offense. He did not look good. But for the Dolphins, I don't know how you did it. Fitzpatrick hit 9 targets, which was crazy, and Adam Shaheen, of all people, caught a touchdown. I don't know how they did it, but they did.
Yeah.
Fitz magic, baby. Well, we get to talk about these two. We'll talk about this one first. Dak Prescott, as we hit the 1 hour mark. Dak Prescott fractures his ankle and dislocates it on the same play. The Red Rifle, if you watch Roto Hackers, we call him Dalton, Texas Ranger. Came in and saved. There you go. Came in and saved the day for Dallas, 37-34. Dallas won, but at what cost? What did it? I feel like this is an Infinity War type thing where Thanos comes up and Gamora's like, "What did it cost?" And Mike McCarthy just goes, "Everything." What were your thoughts on the game, Cademan?
Oh, right as I saw Dak injured, I was like, no, because you know what? Dak is just, he had like 1,690 passing yards, led the league in that. He is just such, without him, the team is not going to be the same. But you know what? Andy Dalton did step up and play like a veteran quarterback should. And you know what? I think this actually, even though I do not want to see anyone in the NFL injured, I think it was all honestly somewhat a blessing because they are now going to give Zeke more chances to rush the ball. He had 19 rushes yesterday for 91 yards, and that is something we were not seeing in other games because McCarthy was not giving him a chance to run the ball as much. And when Dak got injured, he had to. And you know what? I think something really impressive is Andy Dalton right away had a connection with CeeDee Lamb. I think that is going to be one of the best connections between Andy Dalton and CeeDee Lamb. I think that's just looking great. Another thing, Michael Gallup was just kind of sitting back, has been recently, past few games, and like kind of behind CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson, you know what, you name it. But he really, really stepped up this game, especially once Dak was injured. That's something really great. Glad to see Gallup back because I think he is just such a great player. But you know what? Daniel Jones threw 222 yards, but could not get it in the end zone. He could not. Now, okay, that's fine because the rushing game, they were letting the running backs go in the end zone. They were letting Devonta Freeman. I'm happy he is on the Giants. He could make the team so much better, especially now that Saquon Barkley is gone. I wish they would give Evan Ingram the ball more. I really do because he had 2 rushes for 9 yards, so that's averaging 4.5. That doesn't say too much, but I think, you know what? I think he's a playmaker everywhere he is, and I think they should really give him more opportunity. But you know what?
Running the ball, Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
the tight end.
They should. Yeah, I think, dude. I think they should. Okay, you know what? All around, because he only got 1 reception, and he only got 2 opportunities to run the ball. And you know what? Here's the big thing. It's not like a running play. It's like jet sweeps. It's like play actions, that kind of stuff. They should be having him do more of that stuff because you know what? He's not the fastest guy in the league, but he's not slow. He can get around a corner. He can turn a corner fast. He knows how to break a tackle. He can do a lot of things, but they're not giving him the ball enough, whether that be receiving or rushing. You know what? Darius Slayton, big game. big game. Before this, I know you were saying like he had only a couple receptions the past few games, but this was the time where he really, really, really stepped up, and he made the game really hard for the Dallas defense.
Mm-hmm. I think Lightning Bauer. I think this was about Ingram saying, "I guess you've been out on notice regarding his physicality." I think that's about Ingram, but I could be wrong about that. If you could specify for us, Lightning Bauer, that'd be great. Yeah, look, my first impression after watching this game, this should not have been that close. The Giants are not. They can't. The Giants can't finish. This is my thing with the Giants. How did they score the touchdowns? Ingram ran it in. Nice. Then what happened? They got an interception return for a touchdown. That's a defensive stop. Nice. But then after that, field goal, all of 50 yards or more. And then Graham Gano added another field goal. And then finally they got another touchdown run. So their offense only scored 2 touchdowns. So they can't finish. The Giants offense couldn't finish. They got to the 40-yard line and then stalled. Graham Gano is literally half the reason, kicking 4 field goals. He's half the reason the game was as close as it was, because the Giants couldn't push it past. They couldn't get it past the 40-yard line. And that was my whole thing. Daniel Jones, he's all right. And yeah, we talked about in the video that now no one can watch, but we talked about the fact that, oh, hey, look, Darius Slayton, if he was going to have a game to ball out, it was going to be against this weak Dallas defense with no Leighton Vander Esch and no Sean Lee. We all knew that. But Dallas should not have kept it this close. Dak Prescott out is going to be – it's going to hurt. That's going to hurt a lot because you're losing one of the most prolific quarterbacks, at least, in the NFL. Andy Dalton kind of balled out on his 2 drives, to be fair, after the mess-up fumble play. We all know that happened. But he really balled out on the last 2 drives. I cannot believe that the game is this close because the Giants just could not finish. They hit the 40 and stalled out. And we got a couple.
Very sad.
Oh wow! Oh yes!
Because if you probably didn't see week 4, but me and AJ said one of the questions was, if any 0-4 team wins, which will it be? And I said the Giants. He said the Texans. The Texans won. And our deal was that if the Texans won and the Giants did not, I would have to talk about the Bears' greatness for a minute, and that will be in a shorts after this episode. Or if the Giants won, you would talk about the Packers, but it did not happen, and so I'm sad.
Yep. We got a couple comments in the section. We got James Williams. Yo. What's up, man? And Lightning Bauer also in the comments. James asked, ever going to do videos or just streams? Unsure as of right now. We're doing live streams pretty consistently right now. We might do pre-recorded stuff in the future. We're not sure. We just want to hear what people want right now. So let me see over here. So yes, like Caven said, we made the bet. I'm very, very happy about it. Dallas, no Vander Esch, no Sean Lee, no Dak Prescott, and it all worked out. And Cademan isn't here right now. So Houston beat the Jaguars, and I won the bet. Houston won 30-14. And this goes back to my saying, I was talking to one of my friends about this. The Jaguars are such an enigma. Like, how did they almost beat the Titans? How are they making games this close? Because they just collapse at times. I don't get it. Their offense should be giving it to James Robinson every 5 minutes, but they ain't. And Gardner Minshew's fine. You lost DJ Chark again for the game, so he's injured for what? I think he's been out half the year now. Injured mid-game. We get that. That hurts. And then the play calling of Jacksonville, I don't get. Like that weird 4th down direct snap pass that didn't work. I don't get it.
Yeah.
don't understand what Jacksonville is as a team. Are they a running team? Kinda. Are they a passing team? Kinda. We have like a 50-50 split. Jacksonville doesn't have an identity as a team. And I think that's what I've finally kind of realized on offense. They haven't grounded themselves. And Houston, I guess this was just Brandon Cook's day to ball out. David Johnson is who he thought he was, and the Texans cleaned up on a weak Jaguars defense and a tired Jaguars defense in the second half.
Yeah, I think this Jaguars team as a whole is just inconsistent.
Yep.
I think that's the best word. I know I use it a lot, but I think this is the best word to describe this team. Gardner Minshew has been one of the more consistent factors in this offense. He's been pretty good. He had still a nice game, throwing 301 yards. But you know what? He's one of their better, after James Robinson, he's the one that has to run the ball because I think that the offensive line is just not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he was sacked 3 times. That's not good. You don't want that. But this team is interesting because you don't have a receiver or a running back that is just really clutch, really good all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That would be Alvin Kamara or DeAndre Hopkins, either one of those guys. That would be an example. They don't have anyone even close to that, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So you know what? Another thing that didn't help, they missed 2 field goals.
Yeah, Hauschka had a rough game.
You know what? I saw he was not looking good in warm-ups. And it was obvious he did not improve throughout the game.
Well, also, to let you know, they did have a new unit out there. They changed their long snapper and their holder. So Hauschka hadn't had time to practice with his new squad for special teams yet.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So that kind of changes some things. That may be good. Hopefully it gets better. But still, you don't want to miss 2 because I think after he missed 2, they probably didn't want to do that again if they had a chance. But another thing, the Jaguars had to punt it 3 times. The Texans only had to punt it once. Mm-hmm. The Texans made all 3 of their field goals, which was really good. You know what? I just don't and you know what? I'm happy for the Texans to win their first game, but I don't think either of these teams is going to go anywhere this season.
Yeah.
I honestly don't because you know what? Oh, that's cool. An 0-4 team beat a 1-3 team that is just about the most inconsistent team.
Yeah.
Outside of Gardner Minshew, just you know what? No one that's really good. So I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting about that both of those teams.
Yeah, the Texans, and we all know half the reason why they're stuck at 1-4 is because, like we've said before, their opening schedule was absolutely brutal, and no team should ever have to go through that again. It's completely messed up. You're going to give them the Steelers, Chiefs, and Ravens right off the bat? Yeah, that's fine. Man, the Texans, they don't really get that much of an easier schedule to finish the year with either. They have to play the Packers. They have to go play the Browns. They have to play the Patriots. The Texans, if anything, are getting messed up by their defense not being great and their schedule being absolutely horrible. And the Jaguars, I think everybody kind of got hyped on Minshew Mania again since, they beat the Colts and then almost beat the Titans. I think they're coming back down to earth. I think that's a really, really big thing. They're just not consistent. Coaching is fine. DJ Chark getting injured consistently is good. I think it's just a lot of factors. They're probably kind of overrated. Cademan, that is all of the NFL games. Is there anything else you want to say? We covered a lot in today's episode. Is there anything else you want to say?
You know what? I commented on Roto Hackers a little while ago, a few days ago. and I said if any teams make it to 10-0, start the season 10, which will, if any 3 teams do, which will it be? I said Seahawks, Chiefs, Packers. Okay, Seahawks and Packers are the 2 left. I am just so surprised that the Chiefs lost to the Raiders 8 points. I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting week in the NFL. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff later. Tonight, you've got the LA Chargers taking on the New Orleans Saints. And then Tuesday, hopefully, if the game gets played, the Buffalo Bills will play the Tennessee Titans. That's going to be an interesting game because that's 2 unbeaten. So only one person's making out of that with an undefeated record. So if that game stays on, that one is going to be a game to watch. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. This has been a huge mega episode, an hour and 15 minutes of Allied Rivals. Be sure to check out our Allied Rivals shorts, 5-minute videos on various sports questions. We did one before this episode, and we're going to do one right after this episode, which you are definitely going to want to watch. Be sure to check us out. We're going to be talking more about the MLB and the NFL as the seasons continue. Cademan, how about you end us off with our verse?
Yeah, let's just read it again. I will give thanks to you, Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of all your wonderful deeds. Psalm 9:1. We will have a new verse next time.
There we go. And be sure to check us out in other places. Cademan, you're part of a group called the Bauer Band, correct?
Yes, sir. Bauer Band. Yeah, you should. We just started it like a few weeks ago. It's me and my family doing some music. So written by other people. We just do it in songs, and so yeah, check out Bauer Band on YouTube.
Yeah, go check him out over there. And as you know, you can always check out me on the Roto Hackers podcast, also on YouTube every Tuesday and Saturday. Be sure to check both of those out. Be sure to keep coming back to Allied Rivals. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody. Hope your teams do well. Hope your fantasy teams do well. Hope you are doing well, Mr. or Mrs. or viewer. I'm bad at outros still. So we will see you guys next time on the one and only Allied Rivals podcast. Be sure to catch the shorts coming right after this. Catch you later.